Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
A furious mother who rammed Insulate Britain activists with her Range Rover after they blocked the road as she tried to take her son to school has been revealed as an entrepreneur who started her own food business during lockdown. Sherilyn Spade, 34, from Purfleet, Essex, was filmed driving her car at Insulate Britain protesters who were blocking the road by traffic lights at Junction 31 of the M25 near Torrock, on the north side of the Dartford crossing which links Essex to Kent. The activists were part of a group of more than 40 demonstrators who ran out onto the road by traffic lights on October 13. The footage, filmed by another person at the protest, shows the woman believed to be Mrs. Spade get out of the Range Rover to confront the protesters. After they refused to move, she then drove her Range Rover at them, causing one to scream out in panic. Last night Sherilyn told Mail Online, "Was just standing up for my son. I'm very passionate about that. Just wanted to get him to school. We're going through a pandemic, the wife had enough time off already." Reacting earlier to footage of the confrontation, Mrs. Spade wrote on Instagram today, "Never ran them over, I gave them a notch. So dramatic man." Mrs. Spade was today revealed as an entrepreneur who started a food business during lockdown, providing Caribbean food to the local Essex community. Her business then spread across Essex and London with companies asking her to cater events. Yesterday a former neighbor in nearby Purfleet said, "It is typical of Sherilyn. She will always stand up for herself and her loved ones. We've all seen the video and knew it was her straight away. She would do anything for her son." In a magazine interview earlier this year Sherilyn told how important her 11-year-old son was to her, saying, "He was my biggest motivation," she said. "Es such an inspiration to me because of his positive, optimistic nature and his will to keep going and never give up. If I'm having an off day, he will say, let's say some positive affirmations, go for a run or use a mindfulness app." Sherilyn said she believed her purpose in life was to support and empower others and said she liked to surround myself with go-getters and like-minded people who encourage and motivate me to reach my full potential. She added, "I'm truly blessed to have family and friends who really believe in me and my vision." Sherilyn told how she launched a Caribbean-style soul food business in April last year to prepare COVID packages for members of the local community in the wake of the pandemic. Sherilyn, who had previously worked with young people as a family support worker, said her long-term goal was to open a mental health center for disadvantaged children and young people. She said she would like to run cooking programs to teach life skills. The video of Mrs. Spade, filmed in Torrock last Wednesday, showed her black Range Rover driving up to the backs of three activists who are sitting on the road holding an Insulate Britain poster. After stopping just centimeters from the back of one protester, the woman, believed to be Mrs. Spade, got out of her car, ripped the poster from the activists and said, "Move out the way. I'm not joking. My son needs to get to school and I need to get to work." As she moved to lean over one of the sitting protesters, she then added, "Move out the way. Move out the way now." She then returned to her car while saying, "I'll drive through you then. My son is 11 and then needs to get to school." One of the protesters turned to her and said, "You can't drive through us," before the infuriated mother again said her son needed to get to school and she needed to get to work. The protester told Mrs. Spade she understands and that she is sorry about blocking her route. But the infuriated driver replied, "Move out the way then. Move out of the way and let me get my son to school." She then got back into her car and started driving it forwards into the back of the protesters as one shouted out, "OW, no." Mrs. Spade then got out of the car again and said, "Someone needs to move them out of the way. Move out of the way now. You are taking the F*** imp***. My son needs to get to school. I don't care what your F*** ing is." A lorry driver was also seen driving his vehicle right up to protesters as irate motorists reacted angrily to Insulate Britain activists who were causing disruption on the roads for the 13th time in 4 weeks. Essex police said they made a total of 35 arrests, while a motoring organization warned Insulate Britain's incredibly dangerous protests could pose a threat to people's lives. RAC Road Safety spokesman Simon Williams said, However well-intentioned the cause might be, blocking major roads is incredibly dangerous both to the protesters and those inside their vehicles. And not only will this cause disruption to commuters on their way to work, but there may be people who miss hospital appointments or worse still emergency vehicles will be delayed which could pose a threat to life. September 13 a 78 Insulate Britain protesters arrested after blocking junctions 3, 6, 14, 20 and 31 of the M25 September 15 more than 50 protesters arrested after targeting junctions 1, 8, 9 and 23 of the M25 September 17 a 48 protesters arrested after targeting junctions 3, 9 and 28 of the M25, as well as the M3 September 20 a 29 protesters are arrested after blocking the M25 at junctions 4 and 18, as well as the A1 September 21 protesters risked death by running into moving traffic to block the carriageway near junction 10. Some 38 arrests are made. National Highways obtains an injunction against further protests on the M25 September 22 protesters burn copies of the injunction outside the Home Office, blocking the road outside the ministry. No arrests are made September 24 a 39 protesters arrested after blocking roads at 3 locations in Dover. They are all released under investigation. National Highways obtains a second injunction covering Dover. September 27 a 53 protesters are arrested for blocking a slip road at junction 14 of the M25. They are all released under investigation. September 28 National Highways says it is taking a legal advice over how to enforce its injunction. September 29 a 27 protesters are arrested for blocking a roundabout at junction 3 of the M25 on 2 occasions. September 30 protesters return to junction 30 at Thurrock in Essex, and 9 are arrested. October 1. The group blocked the M4 at junction 3, the M1 at junction 1 and the M25 at junction 25. Some 39 arrests. October 2. Third injunction bans them from obstructing traffic and access to motorways and major roads in and around London. October 4:38 de la mañana arrests after protesters blocked 3 major roads in London, the Blackwall Tunnel, Wandsworth Bridge and the 40 North Circular at Hanger Lane. October 8:19 de la mañana arrested over protest at Old Street Roundabout and a further 16 on the M25 at junction 24. Transport for London gets a High Court injunction to ban them from obstructing traffic in 14 locations in London. October 13. Protesters return to the M25 at junction 31 and a nearby industrial estate, with 35 people arrested. Mother Miss SPAD took to social media to laugh off claims she met the activists. In a magazine interview about her business, she previously said, "Once she started posting my food on social media, the brand expanded and they started catering for people from all over Essex and London. Had learned how to cook Caribbean food as part of my culture and wanted to build on those skills to keep busy and earn extra cash during the pandemic. They say that COVID-19 should bring out the hustler in you. Well, for me, this was definitely the case. The business developed a lot quicker than I anticipated and I was asked by all different companies to cater for their events throughout the summer. This includes clubs, bars, birthday parties, charities, youth projects and colleges. I even took part in the Black Lives Matter movement by selling my food to students at a discounted price for Black History Month, and raised money for the Black Lives Matter charity. I enjoy cooking and love to bring good vibes with the flavors, especially at this difficult time. Sells soul food brings people together in a positive, fun and safe way." The incident, which took place on the morning of October 13, was the 13th major protest by the eco-zealots in 4 weeks after the group targeted the M25, the Blackwall Tunnel in London and the Port of Dover, at a time where the country is already facing a major supply chain crisis. The eco-mob are demanding the government pay to better insulate Britain's social housing stock, but have come under fire over claims one of the group's ringleaders lives in a home which is not properly insulated. Other members of the Green Group, which last week suspended their campaign of civil resistance ahead of next week's COP26, have been revealed to have jet-setted across the globe. Government officials meanwhile are attempting to use injunctions and court powers to bring an end to the disruptive protests of the eco-zealots, who have repeatedly bounced from police station to protests with police seemingly unable to stop them. Today, an injunction granted to Transport for London against Insulate Britain protesters has been extended by a High Court judge. London's transport network was granted the order earlier this month, which is aimed at preventing the Extinction Rebellion offshoot from obstructing traffic on some of the capital's busiest roads. It came after the group shut down Old Street, near the hipster enclave of Shoreditch in East London. A judge said the injunction was extended either until a trial is held, a further court order, or April 8 next year. The TfL injunction bans the protesters from blocking traffic in various locations across the capital, such as Vauxhall Bridge, Tower Bridge, London Bridge and Chiswick Roundabout. It applies to busy London spots including Hanger Lane, the Hammersmith Giratory System, Blackwall Tunnel, the A501 Ring Road from Edgware Road to Old Street, Staples Corner, Redbridge Roundabout and the Kidbrook Interchange. Protesters are also barred from Park Lane, Marble ARCH Hyde Park Corner, Elephant and Castle, including all entry and exit roads and the Victoria one-way system. Members of the protest group have also been made subject to 3 other injunctions granted to national highways, banning demonstrations on the M25, around the Port of Dover and on major roads around London. In a hearing at the Royal Courts of Justice in London on Tuesday, Mr. Justice Lavender extended the TfL injunction and granted permission for the list of named individuals it covers to be amended. The judge said the injunction was extended either until a trial is held in the case or a further court order or April 8 next year. This doesn't rule out the possibility that it could be extended again by a judge on a further occasion, he added. Last week, the court heard that National Highways may ask for a default or summary judgment, legal steps which would mean the case against the protesters is resolved without a trial. Mr. Justice Lavender also granted a request by TfL's barrister, Andrew Fraser Urquhart QC, for further disclosure of information by the Metropolitan Police relating to arrests. During Tuesday's hearing, Insulate Britain members were given the chance to address the court. Dr. Diana Warner, a retired GP, told the court that Insulate Britain is intent on keeping the public safe and committed to non-violence. The 62-year-old added that there is a wide gulf between her understanding of what constitutes safety and National Highways stance. Dr. Warner said National Highways should slow traffic to 10 or 20 miles per hour when people are on the motorway, warning that she expects to continue Insulate Britain's campaign for civil resistance until a meaningful statement from the government that we can trust. I'm willing to give up my freedom and my house. These are all the material things I have, she said, adding that there is everything to lose if we destroy the ARTH that sustains us. Breaching a court order can result in a committal for contempt of court, which, if proved, may be punished with up to 2 years in prison and an unlimited fine. At Tuesday's hearing, Mr. Justice Lavender emphasized to those in court which injunctions are in place and encouraged people who find themselves best served with a committal application to seek legal advice. At a High Court hearing held last week, the same judge extended the 3 National Highways injunctions. The Eco-Zealots last week revealed they would suspend their campaign of civil resistance until October 25 ahead of the COP26 summit in November. Activists penned a letter to Boris Johnson saying they would stop their hated antics and quoted the PM's hero Sir Winston Churchill in an apparent bid to win him over. The surprise move was just hours after it emerged more than a dozen of their members will finally face court action and possible jail within days. Just over a month after the first roadblocks brought chaos to the motorways, officials are set to ask judges to take action against the eco-warriors. Insulate Britain's letter to the PM revealed it planned to suspend protests for 11 days. It said, Insulate Britain would like to take this opportunity to profoundly acknowledge the disruption caused over the past 5 weeks. We cannot imagine undertaking such as it is in normal circumstances. But the dire reality of our situation has to be faced. Ahead of 26 pesos colombianos, Insulate Britain will suspend its campaign of civil resistance until Monday 25 October. In light of the speech you made to the UN on the 22 September, in which you recognized that we are approaching that critical turning point, in less than 2 months, when we must show that we are capable of learning, and maturing, and finally taking responsibility for the destruction we are inflicting, not just upon our planet but ourselves, we ask you to use this time to signal that you believe what you say. We invite you to make a meaningful statement that we can trust, a statement that the country wants to hear, that your government will live up to its responsibilities to protect us, to defend law and order, that your government will take the lead needed to insulate and retrofit our homes, that it will get on with the jobs so families can feed their children and keep their homes warm. We invite you to do the right thing, so we can be secure in the knowledge that our government did everything it could to protect and defend our country. This statement began with a quote attributed to Sir Winston Churchill, Mr. Johnson's hero who has written a biography about. It said, owing to past neglect, in the face of the plainest of warnings, we have entered upon a period of danger. The era of procrastination, of half measures, of soothing baffling expedients, of delays is coming to its close. In its place we are entering a period of consequence. Winston Churchill 1936. Comillas sencillas.